In this video, I'll just be picking up where the looping video left off, but this time, slightly different topic. We're going to be talking about copy and pasting regions. So for the purposes of demonstrating this, the first thing I'm going to do is just get rid of all these loops. So I've got all my original regions there. And then instead of looping the regions, I'm going to copy and paste them all instead. Now it doesn't really matter in this scenario whether I loop or copy and paste. I'm just doing it in this way to show you sort of how the concept works in Logic. So it's going to end up looking similar to how it did just before, but instead of loops, I'm going to have pasted regions, so duplicates of what I can already see here. And when I say copy and paste, that's just the same as any other program where you might copy and paste stuff. We're literally going to be copy and pasting these regions across the project. So it's pretty simple. There are a couple extra things that might be worth knowing as well when it comes to copy and pasting in Logic, and I'll go over them during the course of this video and or the next one. So initially, the way you might copy and paste something is by right-clicking a region, go to Edit, and then Copy. Make sure the correct channel is highlighted, and then put the playhead where you want your copied region to go. Right-click, and then Paste, and there you go. Always quicker to use the key commands with this, so I would recommend, instead of going into the menu here, highlight a region, press Command and C on your keyboard to copy, and then to paste, press Command and V, and there you go. And then I can just do Command and V a few times. Now let's do the same to this one. So Command C to copy, put the playhead in the position where you want to paste. Now watch to see what happens when I paste here. So it's gone onto the piano channel, and that's because I've still got the piano channel highlighted here. So to avoid that happening, just make sure you remember to have the right channel selected. Again, put the playhead to where you want to paste, then Command V. And you can see it's very quick. Get into the habit of using those key commands. They will speed up your workflow, and it's just easier as well. So just to show you, I'll copy and paste the rest of these, just like I've done with the previous regions. And here I can copy and paste those both at the same time. No need to select the channel for those ones. So what I've essentially got here is exactly what I had at the start of the video, but instead of looped regions, I've got the same regions copy and pasted. I've created duplicates of the original regions that I had. And sometimes that can be good, because you can then make changes in any one of these regions. In the previous videos on looping, I said to just be aware that when you loop something, you can't edit anything in the looped section. So if I delete these and just loop that, you can see that I can't make any edits to the looped notes. I can only make edits to the original region. And then when I make any edits in the original region, because it's looped, any changes I make here in the original region will automatically copy onto the rest of the loops. So you change the first region and it changes all of them. But if I've copy and pasted the regions instead, each region is separate from one another. So I could make edits in this region, for example, and the edits will only affect this region. It won't affect all these other ones because they're all independent of one another. These chunks of MIDI are basically the same all across here, but if I wanted to have a little bit of musical variation going on somewhere along here, maybe a brief change of chord or note, I might opt to copy and paste instead of loop. You've just got more freedom to tweak things, and also you can easily take things out, move them around. The regions almost become pieces of a sort of musical puzzle that you can rearrange and mess about with. If you're not going to tweak anything and you really just want straight repeats of a section, you might just do a loop, or you could have a bit of a mix. So some regions copy and pasted and some looped. It's up to you. So that's just something to bear in mind when duplicating your music across the timeline. If I was working on a track like this, I might not necessarily lay it all out like this, but for the purposes of trying to clearly show how this tool works, this is just a good visual example of how to use copy and paste in Logic. In part 2, I'll look at copy and pasting big chunks of a track, so copy and pasting a whole chorus or a verse, and I'll go over a couple other things that you can do. Welcome to part 2 of copy and pasting regions in Logic. Originally, this was going to be the second and final part. However, when I was putting this video together, it was spilling over quite a bit in terms of time. So I'll effectively be splitting up part 2 over into an extra part 3. If you would rather watch all 3 parts in one go, I'll do a combined video. So I've already covered the sort of basics, if you like, in part 1. And in parts 2 and now part 3, I'll be going into a little more detail. So I'll just continue where I left off. Something else you can do when it comes to copy and pasting is using this tool here, repeat regions/events multiple times. So if I just delete all of these and click on it, that brings up this little window, and it prompts me to put in the number of copies that I want. So I'm going to put 8. And you can do as copies or aliases and clones. If I do copies, that just instantly creates 8 copies for me. So I don't have to paste in each one individually. So yeah, that can be a quicker way for you to repeat regions if you're going to be doing lots of repeats. The other option, aliases or clones, I'm just going to delete all of these regions and I'll go back into that window. And I'll pick the other option. When I do that, I'm still given 8 separate regions, but this is quite similar to the loops in a way, in that I can't edit these repeated regions. The difference with loops, though, is that they are all individual, so I can move them around like this. Moving on, you can copy and paste lots of regions at a time. I did it very quickly in part 1 with a couple of regions, but just to go over it. So to do that, you can hold down Shift and select the regions that you want to copy. Or you could drag your mouse over the regions that you want to copy. Just for the sake of showing what you can do, if I highlight all of these, Command C to copy, put the playhead where I want to paste, then Command V to paste, I can duplicate the whole track if I want to. I'm going to bring up another Logic project here, and I'm going to be in this project for the remainder of this video and all of the next one. And the next thing I'm going to go over is this option here, when I right click, which is paste at original position. Now, an occasion where you might use that would be if you were copy and pasting a region onto a different instrument track, but you wanted it to be in exactly the same place in the timeline as the original region. And I've done that already here previously. So these two at the top are actually the same regions, and the one below is a copy of the one on top. And I did the same thing for these 2 parts down here as well, just below these. And I did some work with the panning on the left-hand side there. But anyway, the point is I did a copy and paste onto another track in exactly the same place. So if I just delete these copies, and I'll copy and paste them again, but this time I'll go through what I'm doing. Now let's focus on this second region down here. So I'll solo it. Now, if you were to go about copy and pasting this in the same way that I explained in part 1, you'd have to copy, so Command C, and then you would need to find out exactly where you need to put the playhead to paste. And in this scenario, that kind of needs to be bang on. So the pasted region needs to line up exactly with the original region. And if it doesn't line up exactly, that might lead to problems. So I want to be pasting in line with this first region. So I would need to go and find the start of this region. So I'm going to try and find the exact start of the region. And you'll see that it's not really slap bang at the start of the bar. And you'll see that it's not even in line with 1/16 of a bar. So you're kind of looking to see where the start of the region is. And it's a bit fiddly. It looks like I found it there, but you can see it did take a good few seconds. And now I'm in a situation where I'm insanely zoomed into this. And now I'm going to have to zoom out again, keeping the playhead where it is. I don't want to move it. Otherwise, I'll have to position it again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste that onto this next track down here. And I think that has worked. But there's an easier way of going about that. A much easier way. So what I'm going to do is just delete this region that I've just pasted. And I'm going to copy the original region again. And now, regardless of where the playhead is, if I do paste at original position with this strip highlighted, it will paste just like that. And I know that's in the right place. I don't have to go checking. I guess you could do that manually, just like I did before, but you might be liable to make little mistakes when you try to do that manually. But if you just paste at original position, you're all good. And there shouldn't be any issues going on there in terms of the regions not being in sync with one another. And that can affect timing and so forth. I'll just show you what can happen if these are slightly out of sync. And I don't know, you might actually like that sort of effect. But for what I'm doing, they need to be completely in sync. And the way to ensure that perfect synchronization is to use the paste at original position option. You might never end up needing to use it, but if you do find that you want to copy and paste a region onto a different instrument channel, but at the same original position, I would use that tool. And just to finish off, I'll just paste this one back here. See, that's much quicker than manually finding where you might need to put the playhead to paste. So moving on, originally in this video, I was going to go over copy and pasting this whole chorus section, but that is now going to go over into part 3. Welcome to part 3. I'm just going to continue where I left off. So this is actually a track I was working on ages ago, and just for the sake of this tutorial, I've taken out everything apart from the chorus. So what I've got here is essentially the chorus. I've taken out everything else, the verses, etc. And I've taken out all the instrument channels that would have been on the left-hand side here that I was using for the intro, verse, and bridge sections. I've just left myself with these chorus parts because that's just what I'll be using for this example. So I've got the structure of the track laid out at the top here with markers. You can see that the chorus sections are in red. So yeah, you might be working on a track and you've got a chorus section. So here's my first chorus. And instead of playing in everything again where this second chorus is, you could copy and paste this chorus, paste it here, and even paste it a third time at the end there. Musically speaking, and in terms of authenticity, you might not want to completely do it like that, but I'm just showing you what you can do and you can take it as you like. I'll touch on that issue of authenticity towards the end of the video. So just to show you, if I zoom into these tracks that I've got here, so again, this is my chorus, so I've got guitar parts, bass, and some beats at the bottom. And you might have noticed that the regions have this little bit extra at the start and the end. It looks like it's overshooting the chorus marker, but that's not a problem. I've essentially just got a bit extra at the start, that little run up from when you press record, and there's a bit of a sound there as it goes into the chorus, which is a natural run up, so I want to keep that. And then at the end, the audio just naturally fades out and tails off as the next verse starts. So not really a problem. And this stuff at the end, I'm just going to leave as is because that's the sort of natural fade out. I'll just play it quickly for you. So that's where verse 2 would start. You kind of get the idea. But I am actually going to trim some of this at the start, and the reason for that is partly to clear up some space and partly so I can just give myself a bit of a guide for when I'm copy and pasting. When I recorded this track, I did it to a metronome, so where I've put these markers for the choruses, they aren't just vague areas where the chorus hits, these are pinpoint moments where the chorus starts. So I need to make sure I'm copy and pasting to an exact degree. Otherwise, I'm going to cause myself problems with timing and such. Now, if you've got quite a random point where your earliest region is starting, so let's just say your earliest region was there. And remember, we're copy and pasting from it copy and pastes from the earliest region in the block of regions that you're copy and pasting. When you go to copy and paste, you might be guessing a bit around here when it comes to making sure you're putting the playhead in the right position for pasting. So I was kind of estimating there, and you can sort of say, well, the waveform's there, chorus starts at pretty much there, but it might not be exact. And if it's not exact, when you start layering more instruments on top and linking this up with different sections either side, the verses and bridge, it can have a bit of a negative knock-on effect. And in some cases, it can be noticeable in a bad way, which you don't want. Yeah, it's a little hard to explain. I don't know if I'm explaining it in a good way. Essentially, if my region starting points are not at a clear position here, then I might struggle in terms of exactly where I should be putting the playhead to paste this. Anyway, whether you understood it or not, there is a way to make sure you are definitely pasting in the right place. So, just so I can be exact, I'm going to bring these up to bar 24. And I'm sort of clearing the regions up as well by doing this, getting rid of any unnecessary region space. I'm not going to go right up to bar 25, because as I said before, I've got the little natural lead in there to the chorus. So now I know that the chorus is starting here, but I've just got one bar of buffer at the start, where the regions are starting. So chorus starting at bar 25, but the regions here starting at exactly bar 24. And when I copy and paste this chorus, I'm going from the start of the earliest regions, which are these three at bar 24. Now, I'll copy all these regions, and I'll go to here. So that is the exact point where the second chorus is starting, bar 57. But remember, on our regions, we've got one bar of buffer at the start. So for that reason, I'm going to put the playhead at bar 56, a bar earlier. So there we go. I've copy and pasted the chorus. And I know it's in the right place because at my first chorus, the regions start here at exactly bar 24, exactly a bar earlier from the chorus hitting. And over here at my second chorus, these regions are starting exactly a bar earlier than the chorus hitting. So in terms of timing, it's right on the money. And I'll do the same over here for the third chorus. So 1 bar early, paste, and there you go. So what I've done is get my first chorus, and I've copy and pasted that chorus onto the other chorus sections of the song. And it didn't take me long to do at all, really. The explanation behind it was long, but in practice, it doesn't take that long at all. Now, in terms of authenticity, if that's something you're thinking about, now you might take the view that this is a bit crude, just copy and pasting your chorus. You might not care, in which case, go ahead and do that. That's how you do it. But if you'd rather not do that, if you think you'd rather play these in separately and have a little bit of differing nuance in there as opposed to straight clones, first of all, you could just play it all in again at the separate chorus points, just like you might have done for this first one. Or you could still use this technique that I've just shown you, but what you can do is when you record the first chorus, you could record multiple takes of each part. So for example, play each part in like 3 times. So effectively, you've got 3 different versions of you playing or singing the chorus. Your 3 choruses are there. Then you could copy and paste all those takes to these other chorus points. And you could have, for example, take 1 on the first chorus, take 2 on the second, and take 3 on the third. So you're recording it all in one place on the timeline initially, where the first chorus is, but you're racking up different takes. And then you would paste all of those take folders across here, and you just make sure you're not picking the same take for each chorus. Make sure you're picking different ones. Or you could have a bit of a mix. So you might have 3 separate bass takes on each of these choruses, but maybe one guitar part is perfect and you think, you know what, I'm just going to copy and paste that across. I've already got a perfect take, I'll recycle that. Yeah, it's completely up to you. If you want to know more about recording multiple takes and choosing and switching between different takes, I've done a couple of separate videos on that, which I'll link in the description. So I hope you got something out of this pretty in-depth set of videos on copy and paste functions in Logic, and you can go ahead and try these out for yourself.